For some reason, the first scene of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing is included in a few of the language files in Kolomikre Dut. In RC The Ghost Championship mode, the two unlockable tracks after finishing first in all of the base tracks were actually real-life RC venues, Boss Speed and K-Tune. The former is still active, albeit drastically changed, while the latter has since been closed down. Here's a real-life satellite imagery of K-Tune Racing Speedway. The layout is exactly the same based on the 2004 imagery, but based on the 2018 imagery, it has changed drastically. As of late, the name has changed into K2 International Circuit, and the layout from 2018 is still intact. And here's the Boss Speed RC Racing Circuit. The layout is intact based on this imagery, perhaps until its closure in September of 2015. Beyond this point, the track is now Sagami Do RC Racing Track and sports a way different layouts. In Test Drive Le Mans, the PSX version, Philippi Gacci Motorsports car has a Mobil 1 logo in contrast to the real-life's Coca-Cola branding. While the reason for the replacement is unknown, it is possible that brand licensing is one of the factors. The Hokkaido track in TXR Drift 2 is actually a real-life rally track, being Pause Kamui. It is one of the stages that will run during the 2005-2006 Rally Japan in WRC. It seems like the original real-life route would be the hill climb uphill configuration in-game, while the in-game downhill configuration won't see a real-life usage until 2007 Rally Japan based on the stage details. In the same game, there's also the Team Gunma Mitsubishi Lancer, a Group N class car run by Shinsuke Arai and Akitoshi Uchida during the 2004 Rally Japan. The car would eventually finish the event in 24th overall. The Nissan Skyline R34 and all three the crew games have the driver's side to the left, despite the car itself never having a left-hand driving variant in real life. That's also a thing in Test Drive Unlimited 1, which could imply the crew R34 model is based off of the one from TDU1. It would make sense given Ivory Tower was made by former Eden Games employees. This can also be seen with the R33 Skyline in Driver San Francisco. Due to unknown reasons, they swapped during gameplay, where they're shown as left-hand drive. They did clearly intend for it to be right-hand drive since the original promo material for the game also had the car as right-hand drive. Real Racing 3 reused a lot of NFS 3D models and sounds, such as the Camaro ZL1, it's reused from NFS The Run. Another game where you can notice some reused cars are in Godfather 2. Two cars you can drive are from Burnout Paradise, the Hunter Cavalry and the Carson Opus. Both games were made by EA. In Need for Speed Most Wanted Alpha 124, for some reason the Aston Martin DB9 shares the same engine sound as the Lamborghini Gallardo and Murcielago. In NFS Hot Pursuit, the Aston V12 Vantage can basically drift until forever thanks to wiggling the joystick or tapping left-right on keyboard in a fast pace. It is best showcased on tracks like Power Trip or V12 for Victory. The Porsche 911 Speedster can reach 399 km an hour using turbo/nitrous, while the car is in Super Class, the third highest class. In MX vs ATV Unleashed, you can land pretty much any jump you perform in the game. You have to angle your car at the most extreme angles of either your front or back wheels just before you crash mid-air. Once you land at either of these angles, the bike somehow absorbs the impact and lets you drive away freely. During NFS Undercover's release, Maisto had a collab with EA to make a bunch of different scale die-cast models of a few cars that would end up in Undercover, and in the boxes you can find cheat codes to unlock and use your die-cast in the game. Forza Motorsport 1 has a speed glitch you can do if you spam the handbrake with the handbrake pressure set to maximum, with the shortest gears in final drive. It works with any rear-wheel drive car, but the R-Class cars can all go very fast with it. In Ridge Racer 7 in the Chronale duel, if you stop near the finish line in lap 2 and wait for the Chronale to go to the finish line in their final lap, the Chronale will stop. The Chronale will start moving again after waiting for you to approach the finish line at the final lap. Both PC and PS1 versions of Test Drive Off-Road 2 have Superman hidden high up in the air in one part of the Santa Cruz track. A cartoon sea serpent or Loch Ness monster at the Wales track, and developers hidden behind a non-solid wall behind the start line at the Mojave reverse track. In the DS version of Need for Speed Pro Street, the game actually has cutscenes on the DS cartridge itself, but the UI bug prevents them from playing, automatically skipping them in the US and EU versions. However, the Korean version of the game uses different UI header element, fixing the cutscene bug and making the Korean version the only one with fully functional cutscenes. Also, the Korean version omits the option to skip the loading screen descriptions with the start button, forcing you to go through the entire description every time you want to start a race. The Korean version changed R. Cooper in the bottom screen leaderboard menu to just say Cooper, and it also changed some vehicle names due to alternative font. Because of a licensing agreement EA and Nissan had, the cover car of Need for Speed Pro Street is the R35 Proto. Despite this, the cover on the DS version of Pro Street uses the Battle Machine RX-7 instead of the R35 Proto you would see on the normal game cover. There also appears to be a different variation of the Pro Street cover car, which appears to have an RX-8 as well. In Richard Burns Rally, if you hit spectators or marshals on season mode, the game will trigger a cutscene of a rescue helicopter descending to the crash site and you'll be disqualified from a whole rally. In Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, along with the posters for the game at the fuel stations, there's also a reference to NFS High Stakes and a newspaper article on illegal street racing that weirdly shows a screenshot from a Pro Street loading screen. In the early version of Friday Night Funkin', there are some unused songs inside the game files, and one of them contains a song called Ridge. When you load the file into the game, it only contains the chart of the song without any music. However, there's a mod to restore the song, and the music was taken from the soundtrack in Ridge Racer Type 4, specifically the intro song of the game.
3, 2, 1, go!
He's the one for me, there's no place I'd rather be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. To the finish line, everywhere you look, he's right on time.
In Colin McRae Rally 2.0, there are several cars that cannot be unlocked unless you use cheats. These cars are the 1999 Ford Focus, as well as the Lancia Delta Integral, with 2 alternate liveries. In the original Colin McRae Rally game on PC, there are 4 unique secret tracks as well as 2 unique cars that can only be unlocked via cheats. The cars are the 1995 Toyota Celica GT4 and the Millennium 4 Rally concept car. The tracks are a different one entirely as they are taken from very different places, including one that is high in the sky at over 10,000 feet. In Gran Turismo 4, the S2K touring car has the number 30 written on the side but 33 on the hood. Namco's MotoGP 3 had different game covers depending on where you bought it. The most share the same cover writer, Valentino Rossi, but in France, the writer was different. twice. First one is a cover featuring Olivier Jacques, who rode for Tech 3 Yamaha for the 2002 season. The second one features Regis Laconi, who instead rode for the debuting Aprilia team with their RS Cube. Notice the evident editing on the Aprilia. That's because they were sponsored by MS, a brand of cigarettes. There's also a special version of the cover for the Italian market. In SBK 15 for mobile, a separate game mode was added that advertised the then new Mission Impossible movie Rogue Nation. In there, you rode the street version of the BMW S1000 RR, which was already racing in the World SBK Championship at that time. Most likely it's just a reskin of the race bike, as it doesn't feature the number plate and turn signals that the road bike normally has. Despite running on very different game engines, for some reason Need for Speed Undercover on PC, 360, PS3, and Wii and PS2 have strikingly similar reverse speed glitches. In Wonka Midnight for the PS3, you can unlock a bunch of interesting cars, such as the Devil Z when it was still a race car, all the traffic cars except the truck, and even a bunch of rival boss cars from their previous game Shutoko Battle X, aka Importuner Challenge for the Xbox 360. And speaking of story chapters, there's an exclusive trucker story arc that has an exclusive car you can't drive anywhere else, aka the freight truck. Weirdly enough, you can customize it just like every other vehicle in the game by changing the hood bonnet, the wing, and the exhaust. Hidden in the files of TXR3, there's a few interesting cut cars, namely the Peugeot 206 S16, the Peugeot 406 sedan, the rough RCT Evo, and a weird pre-tuned JZA80 Supra with a glass hood bonnet. In Race Driver Grid, the Chamberlain Synergy Motorsport livery for the Lola BO540 features an Xbox 360 logo in all of the versions of the game, including the PS3 version. The game actually does it twice. It references PlayStation, specifically the PSP, on the 24-hour Aston Martin racing liveries as well, including in the Xbox 360 version. The German dub of Driver San Francisco used the same voice actors as the German Fast and Furious dub. Tanner with the voice of Paul Walker and Jericho with the voice of Vin Diesel.
Heute ist ein guter Tag. Heute spendieren wir die fetzende Parade durch die Stadt.
Jericho hat mir in den Rücken geschossen und viele gute Männer begraben. Ich muss das zu Ende bringen.
Nichts, Mann, alles bestens.
Hey, Mann. Ich sehe doch, dass irgendwas nicht in Ordnung ist.
Tja, ich habe gute Tage und manchmal schlechte Tage, wie jeder andere auch.
Brian, bewahr die Geduld, das ist dein Kapital.
The PS1 version of Need for Speed 3 was meant to include a second layout for Empire City, which was cut possibly due to time constraints. As most of the track is still there, it can be driven on, set in the outskirts of the city in a forest with huge trees all over. Off topic, but on NFS add-ons, the community went ahead and finished that track's layout, and it is available as a mod for the PC version of High Stakes. In Racing Lagoon, there's a dialogue where the main character is told they were contained in a chamber with product code SLPS02038. This is exactly the same number you can see at the side of the box. In F125, following the announcement of Franco Colapinto being signed on to compete for the 2026 season with Alpine, Jack Doohan was patched out of the game in order to add Colapinto to the roster. However, he was not entirely patched out of the game, as due to the standby opening cinematic not being updated, Jack Doohan can still be seen during it. In Pro Street, Rio has two livery presets for two different cars. One of them is for his Lancer Evo X, and the other one is for an R34. Namco, or rather music artists working under Namco, really love sharing songs with different Namco games, and Ridge Racer is at the center of this. In Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2, despite having a green underglow in the NSX in the game's intro, there's no possible way to get underglow on your car in this game. Due to Ferrari's strict laws prohibiting their cars from being modified with aftermarket parts, Namco has been using various placeholder cars for Yoshiaki Ishida's Ferrari Testarossa in the Wangen Midnight Maximum Tune series. In the Japanese release of Maximum Tune 3DX and 3DX Plus, Ishida drives a Gembala Avalanche, which was changed to a Subaru SVX in the export versions due to the lack of Gembala cars in the export versions of Maxi Tune 1 to 3DX Plus. In Maximum Tune 4 to 5DX Plus, Ishida drives a C6 Corvette ZR1, and in Maximum Tune 6 onwards, Ishida drives an LP704 Aventador. However, in Maximum Tune 4, there were plans for Ishida to drive the Rough RGT, as can be seen via an unused model, tutorial screen, and early loading screen. Due to this car having more unused files than all the other unused rival cars in Maximum Tune 4, it's likely meant that the change from the RGT to the Vette was done closer to the game's release compared to the others. In Burnout Revenge, the tuned M-Type GT in the menu background was seen having a blower intake, while in-game the blower wasn't present on the car itself. In Thrill Drive, there are some secret cars that you can use. You can drive as a man running in Europe, a bull or a cow for USA, and for Japan, a woman running. To do this, you needed to hold down the brake pedal and shift the gear shifter up and down for 15 times. In Midnight Club Street Racing, if you have a save file for Smuggler's Run, you can unlock a buggy, and if you look down the text, it will say thanks for purchasing both games. In Sega Rally 2 Arcade, there's a secret minigame on the Riviera. To do this, you need to hit 2 cones on the final corner to open a gap in a barrier. While you go in there will be a cone hitting minigame, plus if you get a high score, you can see your car and your name shown on the side of the track. This minigame will work on version 1.2. In Dirt 2, there are voice lines from the main drivers about the cut locations, which are Arizona, Finland, Scotland, and Japan. However, due to time constraints, those locations are never finished, so the voice lines get unused.
Welcome to Arizona. There is one awesome rally going on here. You ready? Welcome to Finland. I hope you're ready for some pretty hardcore rallying. Welcome to the Scottish Rally. I'm heading off to Arizona for some rally action. Get some more XP and you can come join me. I'm heading off to Finland, the home of some of the fastest, most dangerous rallying in the world. Get a bit more experience under your belt and you can come join me. I'm off to do some rallying in Japan. Get a few more races under your belt and you can come join me. You sure have proved yourself. When you're ready, get your bags packed and come meet me in Arizona. You've done it. Get your bags packed and come and join me in Finland. What do you think? Ready to join me in Japan?
In subsequent games, Arizona never saw the day. Finland would debut in Dirt 3, while Scotland would debut in Dirt Rally 2.0 as Colin McRae flat-out pack DLC location. Also regarding Dirt 3, there are some voice lines of the cut cars.
The Citroën DS3 World Rally car is Citroën's replacement for the C4. With its short wheelbase and some of the best differentials in its class, it's an outstanding car on all surface types. At its first appearance in Monte Carlo in 2009, the Ford Fiesta Super 2000 dominated the field and won its debut event. Developed by the M Sport team, it's the platform from which the World Rally Car version has been developed. Competitive in 2009 and dominant in 2010, the Skoda Fabia Super 2000 has proved to be one of the quickest chassis in rally today. Its consistent finishes on some of the toughest rally stages make it a dependable choice. The Geiger Chevrolet Camaro SS has been heavily modified to give it a substantial boost in power output. Upgrades include lowered suspension and massive brakes, while its mechanical supercharger increases power output to 568 brake horsepower.
The car configs in Grid have a few settings which aren't used by any of the cars. These include use go-kart reverse gears, which causes you to move backwards up to 5 km an hour while holding the brakes. This prevents you from shifting into reverse when playing with automatic gearbox. Boost, which grants the otherwise cheat-only boost function. Four-wheel steering, which as the name suggests, enables all-wheel steering when under 60 km an hour. Additionally, all cars have fuel tank duration set to 3600 and fuel weight set to 6. However, because the game doesn't have fuel usage or refueling, this means all cars' weight is permanently incremented by this value.
Hi there, I am Jotik, now a recurring character in the Dove cinematic universe. I bring you more fun facts about Adrenaline Extreme Show. especially to the two of you that know the game, big ups to you two, and that one guy that didn't. Now, without further ado, enjoy the Extreme Show. The welcoming banner on the Medieval Town and Night Beaches map is written in Comic Sans. Not really a fun fact, but a criminal offense for even thinking that this was even viable to put on a sign. Motherfucker! You used Verdana as your main font! That would be so much better than Comic fucking Sans! On Dubai, you can just skip half the track. If you just line yourself up right to the barrier, fly through the air throughout this hole, and touch the barrier on the other side, or be close to it enough at least, it spawns you on the other side, skipping half the map. On the flat top and military base map, you can spot a MiG-29. You can also drive full speed into these jets, which in real life, the replacement of one of these jets would cost you $30 million on average. Do these guys carry around split-second levels of budget for this? Every single gearbox in this game is broken. For example, the Jet SLI gearbox switches between 5th and 6th constantly, making you think this was the Lotus Savora from TDU2, and the Promo Z gearbox, where the car shifts under half its maximum RPM. In a racing game. Makes you think they're actually trying to save on fuel costs. This can be mitigated by just editing the code. This whole game is written in LUA and GUI files, which Dagor Engine, the engine the game runs on, uses. So the code for all the parameters of the cars can be edited like you would edit settings of a game from outside the game. Why? No idea. But you can do wacky shit like this! Speaking of modifications to the game code, did you know the English language is officially listed in the code as RU? So currently, I'm playing the game in Russian. Thank you, random translator implant that I've suddenly developed while playing this game. The sound effects slider also just does not work as it should. The slider only affects the engine sound, not the environmental sounds. You can fix by straight up fucking deleting the file of your computer so you can live unbothered by the 50 decibel waves. On most of the maps, in places where the billboards aren't taken up by the ads of the women doing things like gambling, it uses both its original name and the localized name for some reason. I don't know why. This game is written in spaghetti. Don't ask me. Speaking of gambling ads, today's sponsor is no one. The whole ad system in this game is interesting, where if you sign a sponsorship with a company that has the banner logo, it will actually appear on track as an advertisement. Cool feature, however, some of the ads are...
Latinas! Where?
They are. Moreover, Coca-Cola, Gillette, and other real-life brands are actually in the code as sponsors. However, as far as I'm aware, these sponsors go unused. Shout out to XP, who has found all the inner workings of the game, like real-life sponsors in the game's code, for I can't read what the fuck this says. So thank you. By the way, you can also replace the cursor as he did. Pretty neat, huh?
Ridge Racer 2's Yamasa sold-out Raggio existed as a real replica built under the first-gen Honda NSX chassis, and even has a variant with no stickers and has a license plate suggesting that the car was drivable on public roads. Every car in the PS2 version of NFS Hot Pursuit 2 has the name of the car on the license plate, except for the BMWs. They instead just have NFS as their plates. In TXR 0, body kits and their corresponding weight reductions make absolutely no sense. Your weight can be reduced by adding a weighing wing, and no matter which car, a higher body kit upgrade always reduces the weight more. Even doing something as simple as modifying your headlights can shave off weight. The R34 Skyline in the San Diego garage in MC3 is red in the original release, but is blue in the remix release. Acclaim did an ad campaign for Burnout 2 Point of Impact, in which they would elect to pay all of the speeding fines and traffic violations for people in specific regions of the UK. They were heavily criticized by law enforcement and the government. This was just one example of Acclaim's increasingly desperate attempts to sell games. Codemasters, known for their Colin McRae, Dirt, F1, Micro Machines, and Grid series of games, were the creators of Game Genie for the original NES in 1990. Game Genie was a line of video game accessories made to alter game code, which in turn makes it possible to cheat in all sorts of games. In 1992, the device was central to the court case between Nintendo of America and Louis Galob of Toys Inc., where it was ruled that Game Genie did not infringe on Nintendo's copyright or affect the game sales. The decision also established that reverse engineering is covered under fair use in the United States. In Need for Speed Underground Rivals for the PSP, there is a game mode that has only made one appearance in the entire series called Rally Relay, where after every lap your car will change to your secondary car. In Need for Speed Mobile, you can go fishing. In Racing Battle C1 Grand Prix, you can reduce the weight of an MTK truck by about 1 kilogram by placing a cow in the back. In Grid 1, used cars do have performance debuffs, but it's set so low it only really affects the touring class. Also, another fact regarding Grid, Ferrari were cut last minute from the game. You can still find some remaining bits of voice lines in the files.
It only seems like yesterday you got your rookie license, and here you are behind the wheel of a Ferrari. Take it easy until you get a feel for the track. Scuderia Icos won't be crossing the finish line. Both drivers from Scuderia Icos have retired.
There's also 2 voice lines which suggest Codemasters wanted to add a loyalty system into the game. Kinda like how you get bonus money in Most Wanted if you have an Underground 2 save.
I noticed you've done a bit of off-road racing in the past. That should be good experience. Try to keep it on the track from now on, though. Because of your off-road experience, I managed to swing an extra sponsor for you. It pays pretty well, and you won't see just anyone with it on their cars.
Ladies and gentlemen, and other / unspecified, welcome to today's auction, where we sell off products at ridiculous prices for no reason. Let's get straight into the first item up for auction, shall we? Do you have 15 friends? Of course you don't. But if you did, you could convert them into Kirby fans with this set. Every single Kirby game ever made, plus both 25th anniversary plushies 15 times for a whopping $12,690.75. Perhaps you hate Nintendo. Fair enough, I do too. So let's offer something that will please the top 7 fans in the audience. Introducing the Chrysler Crossfire. This is a bingo night. Hold on. Where is it? Where is that? Aha! Introducing the 2002 Honda S2000 in Spy Yellow Pearl. This, mostly, unmodified piece of automotive legend has 40,000 miles clocked on the odometer, but it's ready to drive much more, all for the low price of $12,500. Now, call this auction a fast food place, cause we have a combo meal of items coming. A 1999 Nissan Cedric, a 1967 V8 restored Ford Mustang Coupe, and a 2013 Mercedes-Benz S550, all at a total cost of $30,349. What a steal for free cars from free continents and free time periods. But if this didn't interest you, then we have some gaming history up ahead for you. You can buy a copy of Blur for Steam for $13,597.87. That's it. That's the fact. It costs $13,000 to buy a Steam key for Blur on Steam. Honestly, just buy the fucking cars. Please.
In WRC Rally Evolved, there are many car classes. One of these classes are concept cars, and one car that it contains is a Subaru B9 Scrambler. Till this day, it's the only game to feature this car and the only rally game with a concept car class. The livery for the custom coupe from Burnout 2 is inspired by Brian O'Connor's Mitsubishi Eclipse from the Fast and the Furious. The custom coupe is also the most recognizable car from the Burnout series, as it has the most appearances of any car in the series, appearing in Burnout 2, Burnout 3 Takedown, Burnout Legends, Burnout Dominator, and Burnout Paradise. Every brand logo in Enthusia Professional Racing is corresponding to the year in which the car was manufactured in. The Bugatti EB110 is displayed as a Dauer EB110 because Dauer has purchased most of the company when Bugatti went bankrupt in 1995. They then gave the car a full carbon fiber bodywork, a four-wheel drive system, and they increased the power output to 695 horsepower. Only these 15 cars have appeared in every Forza title to date. Jared Deanda, announcer commentator for Battle Machine and Noise Bomb in Pro Street, nowadays still works as a voice/commentator for Formula Drift USA and other stuff.
And let me also mention that we've got Ryan Cooper out there today. This is his first big, quote-unquote, legal race. This guy's got mad skills. He's been street racing for a hot minute, and he totally just dominated a Battle Machine qualifier. From what I saw him at that race, this guy's gonna be doing some killer things.
Jared Deanda, I'm sure most of you guys know, voice of FD and all sorts of events at this point now, right?
Yeah, man. Been announcing for 22 years. So now, our 2025 season is our 22nd season of Formula Drift, so that all equates to me announcing for 21 plus years.
Gran Turismo 2 was one of the two PS1 games where you could rub the disc to feel tire smell. They called it pit stop smell. In order to feel that, you had to rub the GT mode disc. The other game that offered this was FIFA 2001. Ford has used video games to advertise their cars for a number of years, and a lot of people would assume that Ford Racing on the original PlayStation was the first game that they licensed, but it actually wasn't. In 1987, Ford Motor Company released Ford Simulator, which was made to promote their 1988 model lineup. In 9 years, 7 Ford simulators were released. Not only did they include Fords, but also cars from manufacturers that Ford owned, such as Lincoln, Mercury, and Jaguar. Rolls-Royce has only made 4 racing game appearances, the games being Forza Motorsport 5, 6, 7, and Forza Horizon 3. In Forza Motorsport 4, many titles in that game are references to either movies or fictional media, play on the vehicle name or looks, or a reference to a real-life thing. For example, Last of the V8s, it's a reference to the Ford Falcon from the Mad Max movie franchise, which Max uses. Vanished is a reference to the 1971 movie Vanishing Point. Shaken Not Stirred, a reference to the iconic drink James Bond always drinks when ordering something.
Just a drink. A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Groovy, a reference to the Jaguar E-Type from the Austin Powers movie. Get a Job, a reference to the modern Italian Job movie. And Initial D Rifter, reference to Initial D. In Dirt 2, if you win 2 team events with the same female teammate, you get the 2 Cups 1 Girl achievement.
What the fuck?
In the non-North American versions of Underground 2, every Best Buy store and billboard is replaced by a fictional company called Solo Air. All Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition discs had a rim chosen as the art on the disc. 2 different ones on the PS2 Xbox 360 releases, both the original and remix one, PSP, as well as a special Joint Chiefs Midnight Club 3 CD. Gran Turismo 1 had multiple 4-wheel drives that were actually broken, and 100% of their power goes to the front wheels instead. Juiced 1, some of the more expensive upgrades don't give you all the performance they show. You can check on a Google Sheet how much certain upgrades increase the multiplier. If you finish behind your teammates in Road Trip Adventure, the game tells you to get good. In Gran Turismo 5, you can literally control the weather in any single-player race that has variable weather by simply entering the car settings menu and leaving it. This may sound useful, until you realize you've just equipped full wet tires to expect rainy conditions, only to then be greeted by a fully dry track or vice versa. Little Big Planet Karting wasn't originally planned to exist. It was originally intended to be a sequel to Mod Nation Racers, before Sony stepped in and told them to turn it into a Little Big Planet kart racer instead, meaning the progress they already made was dumped in the trash, and they forcefully turned it into the game we have now. In Daytona USA, you can literally drive a horse. In GTI Club Rally Côte d'Azur, you can drive as a dog. All of the Chinese racing games use the European version of the S550 Mustang. In Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005, the semi-trucks have a similar color scheme to the iconic M3 GTR. In Street Supremacy, you can turn a Toyota Altiza into a BMW. The third generation Pontiac Firebird in Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 is not one of the V8 versions or even the V6 version, but the base model SE with the infamous 90 horsepower Iron Duke 2.5 liter inline 4. It was the only 4-cylinder incarnation of the Firebird and only offered from 1982 to 1985. The layout of the Cheyenne variant of Nevada Highway and Need for Speed Pro Street is a mirrored version of the Watkins Glen International short course used by NASCAR. Polyphony Digital infamously had to change the livery of the Ford Taurus racing modification in Gran Turismo 2 shortly after release when Roush Racing threatened legal action for using the design of Mark Martin's number 6 Valvoline car without permission. The layouts of the Rome South Track and Supercar Street Challenge and the Rome Circuit in GT5 and 6, aside from differences in elevation, camber, and width, are pretty much identical. In Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, the Carbon Motors E7 concept is the only car featured in any racing game. It's a purpose-built police car by Carbon Motors Corporation, but the company closed in 2013 due to a failed loan request. In Automodelista, completing all 7 mountain-based tracks unlocks a hidden racetrack called the Tamiya Circuit. Tamiya is one of Japan's largest hobby manufacturers, known for model kits, RC cars, and more. Unsurprisingly, this turns the car you drive into an RC car, complete with noises and accurate speed. Colin McRae 2005 got ported to the Nokia N-Gage, but it wasn't really a port. It was just CMR 2.0 with CMR 2005 slapped over it. Burnout Paradise has indicators guiding the player where to go when in a race. This feature can also be found in the Getaway games. There's a prototype menu theme that is used in Race Driver Grid's March 7, 2008 preview build. Thanks to the developer of the Grid Extra mod, this menu music is restored in it. Gran Turismo 7, the motion-based scapes and some of the menus use the in-game physics engine. This caused the menus and scapes to go haywire under specific circumstances when Update 149 released. If you tuned the car in a specific way, the car would start behaving rather erratically.
It's twerking. Up the mountain we go, twerking up the mountain with that booty. Max Verstappen doesn't even care, and he's just like, oh yeah, here. Okay, that's sick. That's not even broken. That is straight up sick right there. Yo. Yo. Okay. That is like the baller way of going around the carousel. That is a baller way.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is the racing game with the most crossovers to date. It includes many Sega properties such as, of course, Sonic, but also Jet Set Radio, Super Monkey Ball, or Crazy Taxi. It also has third-party characters such as real-life race driver Danica Patrick, and Disney had an agreement that Wreck-It Ralph will appear in the game if it would be allowed that Sonic appears in the movie. The Steam version takes this to the extreme and also adds more Sega characters such as the Football Manager, Shogun from Total War Shogun 2, or Ryo from Shenmue, which also happens to have an Outrun cabinet as his car, a Super Hang-On cabinet as his boat, and a Space Harrier cabinet as his plane. But also Heavy, Pyro, and Spy from Team Fortress 2 appear as one character. There's also a paid DLC featuring Simon from the real-life YouTube channel Yogscast as a part of a charity DLC promotional for the Yogscast Dwarven Dairy Drives Humble Bundle. Despite being a racing game with licensed cars, Street Racing Syndicate has outlived Forza Horizon 4, Need for Speed Speed Shift 1, Shift 2, The Run, Project Cars 1, 2, 3, Grid 1, 2, Autosports, Dirt Rally, Dirt 3, 4, Showdown, Midnight Club 2, Fast and Furious Showdown, and Crossroads on Steam. Burnout Paradise has the hardest car to unlock in any racing game, in which you have to play co-op and complete 500 challenges split into different player numbers, timed or not, and using bikes. Midnight Club 3 has some obscure game modes found in the arcade menu, in which also power-ups are available. The Cops rubber band is so strong they can pursue you even upside down. In F1 2011, if you slide for more than 10 meters, you get the Have You Considered Dirt 3 achievement. You know how Ferrari forbids customizing the cars in video games? Well, some people also found evidence pointing towards BMW not allowing their cars to be customized in video games, at least during the mid-2000s. They just weren't as public and vocal about it as Ferrari. Some of the proof cited for this includes the Mini Cooper, which was intended to be introduced in one of the Need for Speed Underground games, but the team ultimately didn't add the car. Given how Underground became famous on ramping up customization, it wouldn't make much sense to have a car with limited customization. In Most Wanted, while the M3 GTR seems like a customized car, it's been noted that it's ultimately an American Le Mans series car, right down to its primary colors, only with the colors reordered. Also, while it's well known that you can't customize the M3 GTR, you also can't customize the Street M3 found in the Black Edition. Finally, in the game files, there's a folder labeled BMW M3, the implication being that there were plans to add a standard M3, but not being allowed customization while also not having the perks of the GTR versions led to it being abandoned. BMW was also featured in Juice 2, but while it had a wide array of customization and aftermarket brands, the only ones available for BMW cars are BMW branded parts. In Jak X Combat Racing, you could get save bonuses from the previous Jak games, Ratchet & Clank, and by connecting Daxter via PSP cable. In the PS4 re-release, they kept those bonuses if you bought the other re-releases. In Forza Horizon 2, there's an achievement called Friends with Benefits, where you have to earn 1 million credits from the Rivals mode. Forza Motorsport 1 has a hidden multi-screen menu, accessed by highlighting the last option in the options menu and clicking the left stick while moving down. Unlike the Western releases, the Japanese version of F1 Pole Position 64 did not have an official Formula 1 license. However, instead of just having completely fictional names for the drivers, the Japanese version actually used spoonerism of real-life driver names. As a result, these are the driver names featured in this version. Richard Burns Rally is a descendant to the Rally Championship series of games. Before it was licensed as Richard Burns, the internal development name for this game was simply Rally 7, as in Rally Championship 7. A GameCube version of this game was developed too, but it was cancelled halfway through the project due to the bad sales figures GameCube games were showing. Inside CMR 2005's event configuration file is a list of cars. However, among that list are multiple models that do not make an appearance in the game, including all of these models right here. Carl Edwards was missing from NASCAR 07 and 08 because he instead elected to make a plug-and-play game. He was still planned to appear in NASCAR 07 though, but it's only accessible through cheats and or modding. In Shift 2 Unleashed, there was supposed to be a third DLC for the game, but due to the fallout between Slightly Mad Studios and EA, it was cancelled, resulting in Roadster versions and the Koenigsegg Agera never getting released officially. However, they're able to be driven again with the unofficial community patch, complete with Works conversion. Few of those Works kits are reused on later games, like the Agera one in The Run. There's also hidden voice lines mentioning the Roadster cars, and also a few tracks that never ended up getting used.
Alright man, you've earned some R&R. You're getting a break from the track and taking in some sun. You're hitting the Pacific Coast in an Audi R8 Spider. Best of all, you beat the clock in an epic drive, and that car goes home with you. You're living the dream right now. Go have some fun. Alright, you're about to rip the French scenery in two with the Koenigsegg Agera. Driving just doesn't get better than this. Push hard, get a great time, and you'll walk away with the car.
There's a one-of-a-kind, fully functional PS2 which is based on the M3 GTR from Most Wanted. This is the only one made, and it was unveiled at Game Convention 2006 in Leipzig, Germany to promote Need for Speed Most Wanted. You can spot Bigfoot in the Crew 1 and 2. The actress model for Izzy in Need for Speed Most Wanted, Milena Leticia Roca, went on to become a professional wrestler and wrestled in WWE as Rosa Mendez. For some reason, Milestone released 2 different games named after popular drivers of that sport in the same year, namely Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo and Valentino Rossi The Game. Not really a racing game fact, but in Battlefield Hardline, in the mission Out of Business, you can spot a TFK logo from Need for Speed Carbon on a car. Also a mission later, you can see a Rosolini Tempesta from Burnout Paradise inside the mansion's garage. In Need for Speed 2, you can drive as a dinosaur.
3, 2, 1, go!
Did you know in the Wii U version of Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, there are secret garages you can enter by a green pipe, which has cars with liveries referencing to Mario games. I mentioned in my last video how you could fish in Need for Speed Mobile, but apparently there's other strange things you can do in it, like being able to use a jetpack for free roaming. The marketing campaign for MotorStorm Apocalypse was stopped due to real-life earthquakes and tsunamis that struck Japan in March 2011. The game's release was delayed, and marketing materials were removed out of sensitivity to the disaster and its impact on Japan. In the first MotorStorm game, there was a rally car called the Patriot 85 that was not available for the US and PAL releases of the game. It was heavily based on the DeLorean DMC-12. In Need for Speed Pro Street, the announcer for React Team Sessions is John Hinchau. He's commentated on endurance racing for decades and is probably one of the most iconic voices in the sport.
You know, there's been so much going on top of this today, I've almost forgotten to mention Ryan Cooper. I'm sure many of you have been following Cooper for some time, and you'll be pleased to know he'll be lining up out there later today. Cooper's fresh from Showdown Chicago, where, to be honest, he didn't quite take away the wins he'd been hoping for. Still, he's a remarkable driver, and I, for one, am glad to see him at React Team Sessions here.
You'd know John, of course, from Radio Le Mans, IMSA Radio, and of course locally by calling the Bathurst 12 Hour for the past few years. There's no doubt about it, if you know that it's an important meeting anywhere in the world if John Hindhaugh is the man behind the microphone.
In Importuner Challenge, clicking right stick on Skull Bullet's Mitsubishi Concept 10 turns it into a fictional WRC 05 inspired version. The Cadillac 16 in Midnight Club 3 is so special only the player can use it. You can't allow opponents to have it by modifying some cheat engine values. You can find Hideo Kojima as a spectator in multiple races in GT Sport. The first 3 USA stages in Col McRae Rally 3 are based off Pikes Peak Hill Climb. In Need for Speed The Run, there are multiple references to aliens and dinosaurs in the environment. The first time Koenigsegg made an appearance in a racing game was Midtown Madness 3, which was released in 2003. In 2005, Robert Kubica entered the Polish Championship for the Col McRae Rally game. Despite only starting to play the game 2 days before the event and not owning a computer himself, he qualified for the finals with the 5th fastest time, even with a 30-second penalty. In the final, a referee error initially denied him victory by wrongly adding 60 seconds to his time. After correcting the mistake, Kubica was declared the winner by 0.7 seconds. The next day, controversy erupted online. Other competitors accused Kubica of cheating, claiming it was impossible for a newcomer to beat top players. Kubica joined the discussion, denied cheating, and said he only entered for fun and didn't care about the title. After failing to convince anyone, he stopped responding. Eventually, an event organizer confirmed the win was legitimate and expressed frustration with the accusations. The case was closed and archived. In Twisted Metal 2, if you defeat Minion Boss on easy difficulty, the game will not let you continue forwards, forcing you to restart the whole game on medium or hard. Similar thing happens with a different game made by the same developer, Single Track, called Critical Depth. Although many games included both playable cars and playable motorcycles in the same game, it wouldn't be until 2003 for a racing game to feature both of them racing simultaneously. That game was Midnight Club 2. The second racing game to feature both in the same event was Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, released 2 years later in 2005. Shift 2 Unleashed is the last Need for Speed game to feature a first-person camera. The C6 Corvette was intended to appear in Gran Turismo 4 per a placeholder banner inside the game files. In Toka Race Driver 3, the crowds actually use umbrellas when raining. In Test Drive Unlimited 1, if you can't pay your police fines, you have to sit in jail for 30 seconds. In Gran Turismo 5, the underbody of the R34 is from a diecast model. Also regarding this game, on the Tokyo R246 track, which is a real place, there is a billboard advertising the release of Yakuza 3 in Japan. In Ridge Racer Type 4, the Lizard Nightmare has death and sacrifice written on the rear wing elements in the Japanese release. It was changed to Nightmare and Lizard in the other releases. It's also the only car ever in Ridge Racer history to be powered by a thermonuclear fusion engine. In Ridge Racer Slipstream, there's a body kit for the Kamata Fiera called God Eater, which the name references one of Bandai Namco's other games. Out of the 97 cars that are in GT Advance 3 Pro Concept Racing, only one is in Japanese, the 2003 Chevrolet Monte Carlo NASCAR, which is known as the Radiocon in-game. In MotoGP from Namco, you can drive as Klonoa. One of the coolest ways to unlock a cheat code is in Colin McRae Rally 1, where if you race in Corsica's special stage at night and go off course on an incomplete road to the side of the finish line, your car will shut down with no way to turn it back on. You will then get abducted by a UFO, which also gives you a cheat code that you can input later. Afterwards, it resets you back on the track, but the car will be tremendously wobbly like a cartoon and adds 10 full minutes into the timer. The game Road Trip Adventure has a feature where if you go out of bounds, the game forces you to retire. This means you can also force other racers to retire if you get them out of bounds, which also means that Road Trip Adventure is the only racing game where you can canonically send the president into an early retirement home.
Huh?
Sega Rally Revo features a whole original Hot Wheels car as an unlockable by completing 100% on Championship mode. Not many know why this collaboration was even a thing, because there aren't that many links about it, but the model is pretty faithful to the actual diecast car. In Midnight Club 3, in one of the races called Rev Limit, if you use one of the ramps in the race, it spawns a mysterious red Dodge Viper that does not participate in the race. It also uses NOS, and after some time, the car will remain in the middle of the road. It's most likely to be a reference to a character called Dice in Midnight Club 2, which drives a similar car called Jersey X2. In California Speed for N64, there's a placeholder text on one of the billboards. I'm not going to read it out, so pause the video if you want to read it for yourself. V-Rally 2 went by a few different names. There's V-Rally 2 Expert Edition for PC and Dreamcast. There's V-Rally 2 Championship Edition for PlayStation. Infogrames distributed the games in Europe under these names. Before the Dreamcast version for North America, it's associated with the Test Drive series, possibly for name recognition. Similarly, the North American PlayStation release has it associated with the Need for Speed series instead, distributed by Electronic Arts. The Quartz Regalia, the fictional luxury car from Final Fantasy XV and first added in Horizon 3, is technically the oldest car ever added to the Forza series, as its production year is listed as 723. The oldest real-life production car ever added to the Forza series is the Austin 7, the production year of which is listed as 1924, added in only Horizon 4. 2 years older than the previous oldest Forza car, the Bugatti Type 35C, which was first added in Forza Motorsport 7. In the Fast and the Furious game, at the opening cutscene of the game, if you're playing a PAL EU version of the game, you'll be given a Toyota Supra to drive. However, if you're playing on the NTSC version, you'll be given a Honda NSX instead. This was done because the PAL version doesn't have any Acura or Honda in the game. A go-kart track called Piazza del Campo, which was set in the Italian town of Siena, was cut from Gran Turismo 5 as the Consortium for the Protection of the Paleo, who owned the copyrights to the architecture, had issues with the track appearing. Their main issue was with some of the flags being included. They even went as far as to threaten Sony Computer Entertainment with legal action if the track wasn't removed. This also included seizing every copy of the game upon release. Next Level Games, the devs behind Mario Strikers and other big Nintendo games, were founded by ex-Black Box employees that left the studio right before the EA acquisition. In Dirt 3, the RMR PM580's active rear wing is actually functional, closing whenever you reach 110 kilometers an hour. Atlus, the creators of the Persona series, have published their own Toge racing game for the PS2 called Road Rage 3, which was developed by the infamous Phoenix Games, who are known for shovelware Disney games. In Need for Speed The Run, if you go in the challenge series, pick a car, start an event, and quit instantly, then go into the campaign, the car you chose in the challenge series is still kept in memory, and you can use that car in the campaign mode. It will only be gone once you have to switch to another car because of the story, but once you get into another car, you can redo the glitch and continue onwards. Forza Horizon 2 on the Xbox 360 has the funniest glitch where if you keep on fast traveling till you don't have money to fast travel, and then fast travel again, the game, due to its bad coding, decides to give you the max number of credits. I asked one of my friends for a more technical reason why this happens, and here's the reason why. You can pause it and read it if you want. In all non-online versions of GT4, the Formula GT's tire compound has the same grip levels as softs, even though it says mediums in-game. In the online public beta, it was given its own special F1 compound. It has even greater grip than super softs, with the same wear rate as softs. Blackbox screwed up the event named Ennis Time of Day in the PC version of Need for Speed Most Wanted, causing the wrong time of day to be used in many in-game cutscenes. This is the reason why the time of day doesn't match between 360 and PC versions of the game in a lot of areas. If you did the F2 section of F1 2019 career mode, the teams that Devin Butler and Lucas Weber choose is dependent on what team you choose, with Devin always choosing the team that is one place higher than yours in the performance chart, and Lucas choosing the team that is one place lower. Afterwards, their transfers in Season 1 onwards are random. In the Crew Motorfest, it's possible to drive underwater with your car. In the version 1.0 of FlatOut 1, it is possible to essentially stack upgrades by simply changing menus after applying at least one performance part, thereby increasing the speed power of your car to maximum with minimal investment. You will need to repeat changing career menus after each race, as the additional car upgrades are reset after each event. There's a secret island that you can drive to in Test Drive Unlimited. In NFS Most Wanted 501 for the PSP, Ronnie uses the BMW M3 GTR, while Razor uses the sports version, or better known as BMW M3 GTR 2 in the game. You can say it's a glitch, I guess, but in the new TXR, if you have a high suspension setting and high speed and hit an NPC car, you can go flying, and if you're lucky enough, you can literally jump over the barriers and end up on the other side of the loop. In Midnight Club LA, if you have a fully upgraded car like this Bel Air, and if you buy another one of the same model, you can sell it and get the money back from the upgrades, while still keeping the upgrades for the first car. When Test Drive Unlimited 2 was online and you could access the casino, if you test drove the Audi R8 Spider at night and went to a particular house and honked, it would play a cutscene and you would get a trophy. Need for Speed The Run has the ability to free roam in almost any event without the use of a debug menu and without being limited on how far and where it can go. This can be done in either career or in the challenge series by resetting yourself the very moment you cross the finish line. After that, the timer should be bugged and you will be able to free roam the event. You will also not be reset back to the last checkpoint for going the wrong way. Ever wonder what the BAD stands for in the TXR games? It means Battle Ability Decision. In the Crew one, there are a lot of spots you can wedge yourself into with different vehicles and it will launch you up to the stratosphere. Useless facts about the tow truck in Driver San Francisco. When you wreck a car and then shift into a tow truck nearby, you cannot tow that wrecked car. If you use the mod menu to remove all the wheels on a drivable car and then use the tow truck to tow it, the car behind will be on sideways or act funky with the handling of the truck. If you shift into a car that's being towed, unhook it and then shift out of it, the car will start driving away on its own, with no driver inside. In TXR Drift 2, one of the rivals is driving a special S2K with a Genki livery, instead of other generic liveries like the other rivals here. The reason for this is because the rival is based on the real-life president and CEO of Genki, Hiroshi Hamagaki. There's also another rival that drove a special A32 GTR, referencing the Group A race car, but due to licensing issues, most of the sponsors on the car are replaced with generic texts. This isn't really a glitch, but it can do a funny thing in Gran Turismo 4. If you go into the arcade mode and select any rally course, you can select any car to enter the race with. And if you choose something like the Toyota 7 for example, it will enter the race with no tires and it will be incapable of doing anything besides wheel spinning. In TDO2, there are unused police dispatch voice lines referencing brands such as Lexus, Tesla, Fisker, and Venturi.
Dispatch 11 to all Adam units, be on the lookout for a Lexus. Driver has priors for traffic offenses. Dispatch 11 to all Adam units, be on the lookout for a Tesla. Driver has priors for traffic offenses. Dispatch 11 to all Adam units, be on the lookout for a Fisker. Driver has priors for traffic offenses. Dispatch 11 to all Adam units, be on the lookout for a Venturi. Driver has priors for traffic offenses.
Supercar Street Challenge has the Lotus M220, which is a concept car so obscure that it never existed as an actual concept car. Neither does it exist in any blueprint form outside of this game. In the original NTSC-J version and some NTSU demos of Gran Turismo 1, it is possible to drive straight into a wall and gain speed rapidly. Sometimes, especially if used in test course, this can result in the car accelerating so quickly it will start to float into the sky. After purchasing your starter car in Most Wanted, if you take your sweet time to get to the safe house, Mia will get upset with you. Test Drive Le Mans PS1 has cheat codes that allows you to drive cars from U-Technics' other titles at the time, including Motor Mash cars and Total Drive-In buggies. Rally Fusion has a button that allows you to mute the co-driver.
I'll navigate myself. Easy right. Just shut up. Easy right. Oh, careful. New crash record. Ah, what are you doing? Just shut up!
In Action Girls Racing, the Wii version of the game has credits to the developers of the game who are mostly men. However, the PS2 version's credits have the feminine version of the developers' names instead of their actual ones. This is because the PS2 version of the game claimed that the game was made by only girls, which was a lie from Data Design Interactive. Formula 197 has a cheat code that turns every F1 car into a futuristic racecraft. It's a reference to Wipeout.
They fly off the grid towards turn 1. He's collided with Salo. It's Michael Schumacher. He probably left a bit of tyre rubber on that barrier.
In Need for Speed Undercover for PSP, if you reset your car under a specific bridge in Port Crescent, you can free roam around the map, which is strange because this port of Undercover doesn't have free roam available. Not really a glitch, but a fun out-of-bounds experience. In MX vs ATV Unleashed PS2, if you happen to drive at the tallest mountain and manage to get on top of it, you'll be met with a flat surface up the mountain. In Midnight Club 3, it's possible to make traffic cars drive on train tracks. You have to crash into a car and make it stop, and then push it so it lines up with the tracks. When it starts moving again, it should start driving on the path the train takes. In Edinburgh, on the outskirts near the beach in Forza Horizon 4, there's a gate you can go through with almost every car. You were able to go inside the buildings for a small distance. In Burnout Paradise, you can do what's called a Showtime pop-up glitch. If you hit a wall at high speed, the game glitches you upwards into the stratosphere. What I think happens is that your car gets a bit into the map itself, and the game realizes it and pushes you out with some force. But when you activate Showdown mode, you also carry a bit of momentum from your speed before, so it just increases the speed by a crazy amount. This is just my assumptions, as I wasn't able to find any proper explanation on the internet. So if you have more info on this particular glitch, do let me know in the comments. In Midtown Madness 1 and 2, there's plenty of cut cars, like the Monster Truck, Disco Ball, and even Ferrari knockoff called Red Rocket. All of those can be playable with mods called MM1 and MM2 Revisited. Need for Speed Carbon is the first and only Need for Speed game that released on Mac OS X. In Drive Club, you can drive the Wombat Typhoon. That car is the only car in Drive Club that has nitros like in MotorStorm with sounds and everything. Plus, there's many Easter eggs hidden in the maps about MotorStorm. In Vanilla Carbon, you can warp to canyons, the drift track, or San Juan by either entering a quick race to where you want to warp, quit it, go to free roam and career, enter a sprint race, press change wingman, and select the one that you currently have. You'll warp to where your quick race was. Then you can just quit to free roam and enjoy driving around. Or resetting your car, clipping through an ad, and accept a free roam race, then driving to the other maps, which takes some time and some knowledge of where they are. In Test Drive 5 for the PS1, if you select Washington DC 2 or any other race in the rain, start the event and turn around, you will see question marks raining on you.
Stop!